Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, the Sonics may be coming back to Seattle for real this time, but will there be any corporate sponsors left for them? But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
Perhaps the craziest story I have ever seen in all my years of doing this was over the weekend. It went uber viral with very little behind it. What was it exactly? So for a while, we've been following the podcast wars. What are the podcast wars? A whole bunch of people after President Trump's historic victory, a bunch of people who helped him win that historic victory, all of a sudden decided they don't seem to like Trump very much. They don't seem to like America very much. But they're not going to say that out loud. They're going to say everything they're saying, everything they're doing is America first. Of course, I'm talking about people like Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them. Now, the question is, are they actually having an impact? And I would argue, yes, they are. Not on the right, but actually the left is using them to say, see, even they are seeing this. Even they are agreeing with us. And they're conservative commentators. This weekend, Saturday Night Live had one of their cast members pretend to be Tucker Carlson. Except the Tucker Carlson they were making fun of was the one from 5 years ago back when he was on Fox News. Not the new one now. The one now you say, this is a guy who interviews white supremacists. This is a guy who interviews Holocaust deniers. This is a guy who seems to hate everything about America, President Trump, and Israel, and Jews, and you name it. This is a guy who said Churchill was the problem. This is a guy who said Zionist Christians were some of the biggest threats to humanity. So Tucker comes out with a doozy of a claim in his podcast, which immediately goes viral.
But it's not just political protesters the government is spying on. Yesterday, we heard from a whistleblower within the U.S. government who reached out to warn us that the NSA, the National Security Agency, is monitoring our electronic communications and is planning to leak them in an attempt to take this show off the air.
Wait a second. Oh, wait, that wasn't what happened this weekend. That happened back in 2021 when he was still on Fox. Nothing came of it. The NSA denied it, and that was under the Biden years when he claimed everybody was after him. No.
If there's anybody I've learned you can trust, it's the NSA.
Yeah. Whatever they say must be true. Nothing ever came of that at all. So he tries this again this weekend.
So legally, I think the case is ludicrous, and I doubt it will even become a case. I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons, though, and they're pretty obvious. One is that countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war. People are dying. The stakes are high. People's emotions have risen to a very high point, to a crescendo. And so there's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent in the homeland. The irony, of course, is the United States fights wars on behalf of freedom, but there's always less.
Okay, I'm just stopping it there. I can't listen to him anymore. What is he talking about? He's talking about he made the claim yet again. He is claiming that the CIA is now monitoring his communications with people he knows in Iran. Okay, can we stop this for a second here? Or can we just stop right there? If you are talking to somebody in a foreign country that the U.S. is currently in the middle of a war with, I assume my communications are being monitored. When I talk to my son in Israel who's serving in the Israeli army, I assume somebody is listening in on that right now because of what's going on in the Middle East. But then again, I don't really have anything to hide. If you start calling people in Iran, I would assume somebody's listening in on your conversations. So immediately this claim goes viral, and you've got people from both sides of the aisle.
What's the area code, you figure?
Hang on. 0 05 06 09 04 1133. Then you get to the number.
That's the
what you
pager number?
Yeah, exactly. Beep, beep, mother. Anyway, so what happens? What happens here? If he's calling somebody in Iran, does Tucker have relatives in Iran? Does he have friends in Iran? Is he talking to the Iranian regime? What is the dude talking about? Okay, so you're calling somebody in Iran. Odds are their communications are the ones who are being monitored, not yours. If there is any shred of truth to this, and already I'm skeptical because he has made these claims before, and for the past 4 years he's been doing his podcast, he just goes from crazy to crazy to crazy to crazier. Is there any truth to this? Well, if you're calling somebody in Iran, I expect your communications to maybe be monitored. If you're talking to somebody in the regime, which Tucker Carlson has done before because he's had people from the regime on his show to talk about how Iran isn't so bad, then of course I'd expect for your communications to be monitored. You think we're not monitoring Putin's communications? You think we're not monitoring Zelensky's? You think we're not monitoring everybody's? So this becomes a First Amendment. They're surveilling a member of the media. Okay, here's another question I had for you. And I had the same one during the Israel-Hamas war. When they said, Hamas says, who are you talking to in Hamas? The regime is gone. They've been taken out. We're not even sure the new supreme leader is alive. Do they have a request for comment? Do they have a media page, which I can just, because I went looking for it this weekend, and every website can be translated to English. I found their website. I don't see where you submit requests for comment. I did go hunting for that just to find it. Went looking. Okay. So now there's a whole nother thing. And this starts taking on a life of its own on social media. Here's what it was. The U.S. government knew Tucker Carlson was coordinating with Iran. So what they did was they had Trump invite him to the Oval Office, tell him a whole bunch of stuff, like Trump's just bluffing, he's not actually going to attack you. So that way, they'll have a sense of security, come out into the open, and the U.S. can blow them off the face of the planet. Now, if that's actually accurate, amazing work by our intelligence community and President Trump, knowing that Tucker would run right back to the regime with it. But is this actually what happened? Because I see it as there's several possibilities. One, Tucker is saying he's being spied on for clicks. Now, I understand the pull of this. I understand the desire of this. You know, many times I do public disclosure requests about something, and I see an email from me or about me. Unless they're totally cussing me out or trashing me, I'm not going to mention it's how do we respond to Ari Hoffman's press request.
I thought you were going to say, do you know how many times I do stuff for the clicks?
I'm getting there.
Because
I'm
I
not
do,
there yet.
and it's often.
I'm not there yet. We're getting there, my friend. We're getting there. So what am I talking about? Is that sometimes these emails crop up in the natural course of doing things. I could go, the city of Seattle is monitoring my email accounts. Well, that wouldn't be completely untrue, but it wouldn't be completely true either, right? We all understand this. The Washington legislature is monitoring my emails. True, but not entirely true. Is that what Tucker Carlson is saying? Or is he actually dumb enough to communicate with the Iranians, thinking he could lobby Trump on Iranian policy? And this all got turned around. Me, personally, I think the whole thing is now BS. Why do I think it's BS? Too many things don't make sense. Number one, why Tucker Carlson of all people? Here's something else. Tucker Carlson seems to think he has the ability to change foreign policy, but here's who else he thinks has the ability to change foreign policy.
So I look at the landscape now and the people I see as, I'll narrow it down to foreign policy. Okay. Who is effectively opposing neoconservative foreign policy, which has been the dominant foreign policy of the United States for my entire life, which has been so destructive, I think, and I've seen it. Who are the voices who are sincere in their opposition to that and who have some ability to change? the country's orientation on foreign policy, and those would include Marjorie Taylor Greene, J.D. Vance, Matt Gaetz, me.
Okay, stop right there for a second. Marjorie Taylor Greene, has she ever changed any policy, let alone foreign policy? Matt Gaetz may have changed some trafficking policy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. What policy has Matt Gaetz changed? Okay, J.D. Vance. Sure. But today, him and the president seemed in lockstep in the Oval Office, even when you had people from the media trying to divide the two of them, and Tucker Carlson. Has Tucker, Marjorie Taylor Greene, or Matt Gaetz ever changed U.S. foreign policy? The more and more you think about this, the more and more holes there are in any of this, which leads me to believe that Tucker Carlson is 100% full of it. However, there is something new that's happening online. Are people actually opposed to the Iran war? Or is there a lot of traffic online saying people are opposed to the online war? Jewish Onliner did an analysis of the posts that claim to be American backlash to Operation Epic Fury. 7 of the 10 accounts generating the most interactions about Iran were based outside the U.S., and every single one of them was a negative word toward the operation. Of the 100 most viral posts, 60 came from foreign accounts and generated over 155 million views. Of those 100 viral posts, 90 were hostile to Epic Fury, while every pro-operation came from an American count. In other words, much of the quote-unquote consensus online is being shaped by people not in this country. I had an example of this today. Another example, Right Angle News Network did an analysis of Dave Smith. Dave Smith says he's a comedian. I've yet to ever hear him say anything funny. But he realized that by pretending to be a leftist that Republicans can have conversations with, he'll get traffic from Turning Point USA, and he'll get traffic from Piers Morgan, and he'll get traffic even though he's a moron and he knows absolutely nothing. So he had a viral post over the weekend, which he wrote, Islam is such a violent religion. Every time we murder a bunch of their children, they try to kill some of us. Disgusting. What's he talking about? He's talking about the attack on the synagogue. He is claiming that the reason the attack on the synagogue happened in Michigan was because Israel took out the Hezbollah brother of the guy who was intending on doing the shooting in an airstrike because his Hezbollah brother was actually a rocket launcher in Lebanon. So Dave Smith is trying to be cute and funny about this. But a new analysis by the Right Angle News Network shows that roughly 90 to 95% of the accounts reposting it are foreign or radical Islamist accounts. Let's say he wasn't talking about just that attack. Let's say he was talking about Iran and why Iran hates the U.S. Then still 90 to 95% of the accounts reposting it are foreign or radical Islamist accounts. This traffic online, it may be real, but you're being boosted by Islamic accounts. Anytime I mention certain things, certain keywords, bots start showing up on my account. Tucker Carlson. I put up a post with that story of the theory of Tucker being misinformation and the whole thing with Trump. The majority of the traffic on that post is anonymous bot accounts arguing it back and forth, is what it is. I was shocked how many clicks and views that sucker got. It's bot accounts. Anytime I mention Israel, anytime I mention Hamas, anytime I mention these things, these bot accounts come out of nowhere. Are we actually doing polling, or are we listening to the online chatter? And I go back in time to when I was a senior in high school. And I don't know if anybody else had this, but when you're a senior in high school, we had this thing called senior seminar. What was senior seminar? One day a week, a specialist would come and speak to us on a certain topic. One day it was a guy with a voice box who was telling us about the dangers of smoking. One day it was a recovering drug addict. And one day it was a guy from the FBI telling us, you know those CompuServe or Prodigy or AOL chat rooms you're in? You're talking to a sex offender. And every single one of us is like, well, we stopped using that back in 6th grade, but sure, let's talk about it.
I haven't
this
talked
now.
to Matt Gaetz in a long time.
Oh, no. Zach. Bad Zach. Funny.
I didn't do nothing. It's a Matt Gaetz problem.
That's right. That was literally his problem. Literally his problem. But they brought in all these people to talk to us. When did it go from don't believe anything you see on the internet to believe everything you see on the internet? I talk to a lot of people in a lot of different circles, and people are thrilled that the Iran war is going forward because Iran is a terrorist regime, and they want it taken out. And they have killed over 1,000 Americans. Are there people who say, I don't want boots on the ground? Yes. Are there people who go, what's your exit strategy? Yes. But most people agree, overall net positive, this is a good thing. Are there people worried about their gas prices? Abso-flippin' lootly.
Is this finally what it feels like to be a minority?
So,
kind of like it.
yeah, there you go. You're enjoying this. So, what
I'm
happens?
not enjoying it. That's why I'm on the minority.
Zach's worried he's going to be sent over to the Middle East. That's what Zach's concerned about.
I'm just done with war in the Middle East.
There you go.
25
Exactly.
years, I thought we had it dealt with.
Nope.
Yep.
Keeps coming back. But that leads me to my next point. What is the exit strategy for Iran? Because the problem here is the Islamists play the long game. They say, we may not win in our lifetimes. We're willing to die for this. But in the next generation or the next generation or the next generation, you think they can't wait out a presidential administration? You think they can't wait out till a Democrat shows up back in the office and says, no more of this? We're going to pull you out of Afghanistan because they didn't have to wait long last time. For them, that is a small drop in the scheme of things. So what's the actual plan? What's the actual plan to get out of there? But the problem is policy being driven by the Matt Gaetzes and the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world or the Tucker Carlsons of the world? Or is it being driven by the Marco Rubios who actually know what's going on? Look, I can say whatever I want on this radio station, and I try to back it up with as much as I possibly can. At the end of the day, I am not in the Oval Office. I am not in the Situation Room. And there are lots of things we don't know about. Do you remember when we first found out about Operation Grim Beeper? When we first found out about it, oh my God, Israel has a program that can hack whatever electronic device you have and blow it up. And then we find out more and more that they actually bought a company and convinced Hezbollah to buy the cell phones and buy the pagers and buy the electronic devices from this company, which they had bought. You find out more later. I'm not saying it's a problem to question any of this stuff, but when so much of this garbage is being driven online by these bot farms, I have more questions. How many Americans actually believe in the war? How many Americans actually believe the nonsense spewed by Tucker Carlson or Matt Gaetz or Marjorie Taylor Marjorie Taylor Greene, whatever her name is, and Dave Smith or any of these guys? Or is it Ari Hoffman's completely wrong? Completely off base? Personally, I think there's a lot more to say. Tucker Carlson was completely lying about all of this, and now it's coming back to bite him. Because either he's going to be exposed as a liar, or he's going to be exposed as a foreign asset. I'm curious what you think. Is this all a load of BS, or you think there's something behind it? Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. And speaking of BS, by the way, it looks like the Washington Democrats are saying no businesses are going to leave. They're all going to stick around. We're not going to have corporate flight from our area. Well, when we come back, my friends, turns out we are having corporate flight. Is anybody going to be around to sponsor those boxes over at a new Sonics game? We'll tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show. So we wake up this morning and we see the news from ESPN, from one of their reporters, just in the NBA will hold a vote at the Board of Governors meetings March 24th through 25th to explore adding expansion teams exclusively in Las Vegas and Seattle, with the two franchises targeted for the 2028-2029 season. There is momentum for stakeholders to approve surveying what industry executives project to be the $7 to $10 billion range for each team. Now, this is the most encouraging news regarding the Sonics coming back to Seattle that we have ever had. Forget all the clickbait. This is the real deal. What happens? The NBA owners / board of governors, they all sit down at the meetings and they say, do we want to have new franchises? Now, normally they say, do we want to have new franchises? Where do we put them? This time, it is only considering Las Vegas and Seattle. You always need two locations because you can't have an odd number of teams. So you need Las Vegas, you need Seattle. You need Seattle to have Las Vegas. You need to have both of them. Okay. Now, from the NBA's perspective, forget all the taxes for a second. Forget all the bad policies. Forget all the homeless people down near the stadiums. Do you want the Sonics back in Seattle, yes or no? Text us, 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Now, let's get deeper into this. A lot of people thought if they do the millionaire's tax, that's a strike against them coming here because you're going to have a hard time recruiting top talent because now players will choose teams that are in states that don't have an income tax, that don't have a jock tax, that don't have a millionaire tax, that don't have all this stuff. Rich teams, it doesn't matter so much for them. Like, for example, if you sign with the Mets or you sign with the Yankees, they can pay you so much money that it's not that big a deal. It can offset your losses. Fine. Can you get those kind of salaries here? Probably not. Now, here's something else. The NBA really wants Vegas. Huge, growing market, expansion, companies moving there, the place is popping. But you need somebody else. Now, let's look at Seattle objectively. Looking at Seattle objectively, you don't have to build a stadium. The team name, and fan base is already there. The merchandising is already there. That's a lot less startup costs, which makes Seattle very attractive. Then you say, well, Alaska Airlines is still there, and Amazon is still there, sort of, and Starbucks is still sort of there, and Microsoft is there, and there's all these companies there. Great, let's go there. What else helps us out? And you have to really understand baseball, basketball, football, sports math. When you say an NBA franchise, it's just like owning a McDonald's franchise. You have to pay the rights to use the NBA. So when you are opening a franchise, it's not just paying for the players and paying for the coaches and paying for the cheerleaders and all the other stuff that goes with it. You have to pay the NBA to operate. And you have to pay them billions of dollars. That's what it costs to buy a franchise. So immediately, every owner in the NBA is going to get a windfall of about $200 million. That's a lot of money. Here's something else. Put that against the TV broadcasting streaming rights. Right now, that's where all the money is. You think it's in the ticket sales? Ticket sales help. Don't get me wrong. Jersey sales help. Hot dogs help. It's all about the streaming rights right now. So with regard to the streaming rights, that means you're splitting the pie. What are there, 32 teams in the NBA right now? Now it's going to be 34. Now you're splitting it 34 ways. But is the new market going to generate enough money to do that? And Seattle is a top 15 market. I think we're number 13 right now. So that's a huge draw.
There's currently 30 that'll make 32.
30, this will be 32. That's what it was. Thank you, Zach. So now, when you have that, that's a lot to consider. Overall, this is a win for the owners to add 2 new franchises. Absolutely, it is a win for the owners because they're going to be making a lot of money. But now you come into the other math. And the math is for the franchise owner themselves, whoever that franchise owner ends up being. You have to sell tickets, and you have to sell skyboxes, and you have to have giveaway nights, and you have less companies to draw that from. You got to sell out your stadium. You want to sell the hot dogs. You want to sell the jerseys. You want to sell everything else, because that was one of the problems why the Sonics left in the first place. So when we talk about the millionaire's tax, you may have a team, but they're going to have a harder time competing because of something like that. You may have a team, but you're going to have a harder time getting corporate sponsors because of the massive wealth exodus. You may have a team, but that gives a win to Bob Ferguson, the Democrats who go, look at us. We brought back the Sonics. We did this. They said Capital Flight wasn't a thing, but look what we did. We brought back the Sonics. I find the irony of the timing interesting. Blazing Bagels announced that they are shutting down Operation Our Area with no notice, just shut down, declaring bankruptcy. They're done. They're out. They're gone. Those are places that are known for being by the stadium and elsewhere. Very popular places. Now they're shutting down. Seattle Lighting was there for 109 years right near the stadiums. They sold their building to Homeless Inc. It's going to be a drug rehab shelter thing right near the stadiums. More businesses. We are going to list throughout the show more and more and more businesses that are leaving the area. So now that you know everything politically and mathematically about this, do you want the Sonics back in Seattle?
I declare bankruptcy!
Yes, that was Blazing Bagels just this weekend, just a little while ago. That was them. But here's the thing that cracks me up the most. Okay. This one was pretty funny. Chris Daniels, we bust his chops a lot because this is the guy who says, oh, you know, are the Sonics coming back? This traffic accident near the stadium doesn't mean the Sonics are coming back.
How about new?
Exactly. So Chris Daniels puts up this social media post from Como News maybe about an hour before we went on air today. So ESPN broke the story at 6 a.m. our time, 9 a.m. East Coast time. Okay? He says he's confirmed with a league source that the Sonics are possibly going to be coming back to Seattle. I go, 9 hours after everybody else, you finally got the NBA to call you back?
I love the verbiage. I've confirmed that possibly.
Like, come on, man. Come on. The ESPN network beat you to the story.
I can guarantee a chance of sunshine.
That's very good.
And that's from my word of mouth.
Yes, and right now I can tell you there's snow in the Cascade Mountains, by the way. I've confirmed it. I looked out my window and there is snow in the Cascade Mountains. I can confirm it with my own two eyes. Man, he missed the two biggest stories regarding this, didn't he now? This and the meeting with Bob Ferguson between him and Adam Silver. Not a good day for Chris Daniels. You know, it's even worse day for right now is actually the administration. When we come back, my friends, we're going to tell you what's going on with the war in Iran and how things are shaping up. And is it actually looking good for the administration? But it might be looking worse for Democrats. We'll tell you the latest polling when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. So what's the narrative that's out there right now? The war is unpopular. Trump is unpopular. The Democrats are going to win everything in the midterms. And there is some truth to that in some circles. However, I would not consider CNN a member of the right-wing media. I wouldn't consider that at all. Now they are saying in their polling that actually the Democrats are even lower than they were the last time there was a poll, which is a little bonkers crazy how much worse this is looking for them. And I wonder if it's because the Democrats don't know how to seize an opportunity. Pramila Jayapal, Democrat from Hamas, put this up. Trump has allowed billionaires to buy their way into the halls of government, but I refuse to be bought. I refuse to take a dime from corporate donors. And I refuse to sell my values to billionaires. Our government is here to work for the people, not the billionaires. One Google search. Billionaire Democrat donor George Soros and his son donated $10,000 to the PAC of anti-Israel Representative Pramila Jayapal, Democrat in Washington, according to Federal Election Commission filings. George Soros and Alex Soros each wired $5,000 to the Build Our Movement Political Action Committee supporting Jayapal, a member of the anti-Israel progressive group dubbed The Squad, and who months earlier called Israel a racist state. Days after the donations, Jayapal was under fire again for her remarks on CNN, calling for balanced outrage and refusing to dabble in a hierarchy of oppression when asked about the sexual atrocities committed by Hamas on women and children on October 7th in Israel. This was a Newsmax report from 2 years ago. One Google search is all it took, just one, to debunk her entire narrative. The billionaires are controlling everything. It's the billionaires. She's got her resistance lab where we're fighting against the man. What? You are getting money from the man. Give me a break with this nonsense. You could be saying your gas prices are, can't talk about the gas prices, right? Because then I'll say, yeah, gas prices went up, but why is it $3.30 in Idaho and it's $5.19 here in Washington? Maybe $1.50 from the Climate Commitment Act? Maybe. Just spitballing here. Crazy idea. I know that it might be because of that. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Craig in Puyallup. Craig, what's going on?
Hey, just bouncing back a little bit to the internet, the information that's on there, or bots more correctly. The internet has become no fun anymore. And my son brought this up. He says there is a theory called the dead or dying internet. And it's just, we get funneled a certain direction, algorithm of what we like, what we want to watch, and bam, there we are. And there's so much on there that is just, it's nudging us into a direction, whether we know it or not. I think people that need to get back into business is Encyclopedia Britannica and start going door to door again. Because it used to be, you know, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Picture's worth nothing anymore.
Well, you had me until you said selling Encyclopedia Britannica door to door. I'm just thinking of the episode of Friends when the guy shows up. What's his name? Penn and Teller show up to sell Encyclopedia to Joey Tribbiani, and Joey can only afford one volume, so he buys the V, and he starts memorizing that one.
I'm more of a World Book guy myself.
That's a World Book. There you go. The last Encyclopedia Britannica I had was a digital one. That was before teachers realized you were cutting and pasting everything out of the online Encyclopedia Britannica for your papers. But you're not wrong about this, because I was just talking with Zach about this offline. You know the Waymos, the self-driving taxi cabs? You know those, Craig?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you seen the video of the parking lot of the Waymos when they were all beeping at each other and honking at each other and going the wrong way and stuck with each other? Do you think that's what's going on the internet right now?
Yeah, a lot of people's heads are doing the same thing. Yeah.
Kind of feels like it a little bit, doesn't it? Yeah, I wonder if that's the case. People got to get out more with the world. So that way they know that the mountain range outside our windows is the Olympics and not the Cascades like I just got called out for. See, maybe if I had bought that Encyclopedia Britannica, then I might actually know that. Craig, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. So this is interesting, the feedback I'm getting on the text line. A lot of you are not wanting the Sonics to come back, which is interesting. Some of you didn't say whether it was political reasons, or some of you did mention it's the woke NBA.
Big Storm fans, huh?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure that's what it is. Yes, the Ari Hoffman Show is definitely known for promoting the Storm.
They don't want the competition.
You know, there was a time when the NHL didn't want to share arena space with the NBA. There was a time where that was actually one of the things that was being discussed. I think they're kind of
It's hard to skate on the wood.
Well, yes, thank you, Zach. Thank you for that one. But, okay, so people over here, I got a combination of responses over on the text line. This is one from the 406. He says, Ari, have you seen any of the AI memes of Iran winning the war via flying carpets? Funniest thing all week so far. You know what? You're not wrong. Those have been kind of funny, but the one that I enjoyed was actually explaining to people that the ones of Israel being blown off the map and Bibi Netanyahu being dead and all that there was no truth to that whatsoever. People actually believe this stuff. I had to actually rebrand some of my memes because people thought they were real news. And I mean, look, I think we would all believe that if Katie Wilson started using Antifa as her own personal security guards, yeah, people might actually think that was true because she used them as her security guards when she was running for office. Jeff in Kent says for the Sonics to come back, they need 23 votes of the Board of Governors. He says, I bet they don't get back to 16. Now, here's a good question, by the way. You have two things working for them. Actually, I take that back. You have one thing working for them. More money, the instant $230 million you get for the franchise originally being purchased by the owners. That is a huge influx of cash, which means if you want to spend more money on your team, guess what? You're going to be able to do it. But then I got a lot of you pointing out, well, are they going to be mediocre when they can't get any real talent? Look, the first year, 2, 3, 4, 5, who knows what's going to be. But good luck getting players who want to actually play here. From the 206. Yes, they want the Sonics back. Will free agents come here? No, it'll just be like Portland, forever mediocre. This one here from the 360, go Sonics, but good luck getting players who want to live here. See, this is the theme we're starting to see here, is that people want the Sonics back, but they're not sure they're actually going to be able to get talent. And after we just won a Super Bowl, you have players that aren't going to want to play for the Seahawks because of the taxes. If you're fresh out of college or you're signing as a free agent or whatever the case may be, are you going to choose the state with more or less taxes? That's a no-brainer. Good thing there's limited roster spots on each team, or else basically everybody in Florida would be stacking their rosters with every player they possibly could. Now, my friends, when we come back, we have an opportunity for you to win fantabulous prizes. But on top of that, I don't know if you knew the Oscars were last night because Zach didn't know about until I texted him yesterday. So when we come back, we're going to tell you what happened at the Oscars. You didn't miss much. But we're going to tell you about the one thing that really set me off at the award show. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. This contest today is by popular demand, my friends. Last week, some of you were asking, hey, Ari, you run all these concert contests. Can you give away Aaron Lewis tickets? Well, yes, my friends, that's exactly what we're going to do right now. Today, we are giving away two tickets to see Aaron Lewis and the Stateliners at the Muckleshoot Events Center on March 24th. That's next week, my friends. All you have to do in order to win these fantabulous prizes is text the word I give you to the number I give you. Not your name, not your phone number, not your email address, no personal information like Liam Neeson. We will find you, okay? We don't need your information. We will find you. We have your phone number if you're texting us, guys. We'll get it. Just text the word itself. Today's word is outside, as in it's very pleasant outside today when you're looking at the Olympic mountain range. It's very pleasant outside when it's not snowing. Text the word outside, OUTSIDE, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757.
The show is so popular, they added a second date.
They did?
Yeah, so these are for the show on the 24th. There's also a show on the 25th.
They added these seats just so Ari Hoffman listeners could go to the show and win fantabulous prizes. So text the word outside to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. This actually happened yesterday. I need to talk to Zach about an event I got going on. Zach does a lot of AV stuff, and I want to talk to Zach about it. And I was texting him, and he was telling me he was setting up for a fundraiser. And I commented how shocked I was somebody was doing a fundraiser, because it used to be that the night of the Oscars, you don't do a fundraiser because everybody wants to watch the Oscars. But nobody even knows the Oscars were even happening. And Zach wrote back to me. He actually said that he had no idea the Oscars were even happening last night. Along with much of America, you had no idea the Oscars were happening.
And I'm the entertainment reporter on Northwest News Radio.
No idea it was even going on. Now, it used to be with the Oscars, you would root for a movie you liked, or your favorite movies, or get to see the stars you liked, or see clips or hear music from the best score or the best song, Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On, whatever it is. But I had no idea what most of these movies were, and we review movies here on the show. Now, Sinners, the one that won a bunch of awards for Michael B. Jordan and others, I actually kind of enjoyed that movie. I don't think it's fair the online hate it's getting. It's fun. It's exciting. It's entertaining. A lot of people in our world are bashing it. I really don't think that's fair. One fight after another, whatever, that Leonardo DiCaprio movie where he's playing Bob Ferguson, I finally saw it. It was a mess. An absolute train wreck mess. I think the only reason they're giving this thing awards is because it's against ICE. Now, most of these movies, remember, is that they have to meet these specific criteria for their diversity inclusion quota. Like, they have to have a lead or significant supporting actors from underrepresented racial or ethnic groups, which include African American, East Asian, Hispanic, Indigenous peoples, Middle Eastern, Pacific Islander, South Asian, Southeast Asian. Well, guess which movies wouldn't qualify these days? Let's see right here. Schindler's List wouldn't qualify. Wouldn't. Because, you know, the Jews aren't underrepresented in Hollywood, I guess. Okay.
He said it.
I said it. I can make that joke. Ben-Hur, right? That wouldn't qualify. My Fair Lady, Sound of Music wouldn't qualify. Titanic would not qualify. Braveheart wouldn't qualify. A Beautiful Mind wouldn't qualify according to these. Yeah, but of course there's always the insanity of the people there themselves who are going to lecture us on politics. So Javier Bardem, who, by the way, I like as an actor. I think his James Bond bad guy is one of the absolute best. Really, really do. Gets on stage and says this last night.
No to war and free Palestine.
All right, you clapping seals. Anybody talk about, I don't know, the 40,000 protesters that were executed by the regime in Iran? Anybody talk about the women finally being free of Sharia law in Iran? Anybody talk about any of that at all? Nope. It's just free Palestine. Hang on. Did you do it? Is it free? Hang on. I'm looking. Is Palestine free? Or how about this? Wait, here. I'll go full stereotype here. Wait, free Palestine. I'll take 2. No, oh no, sorry. Is that wrong? Give me a break with your virtue signaling nonsense. Can we have Ricky Gervais back? I mean, I want Ricky Gervais back. Telling everybody they're in no position to lecture anybody on anything because they're really, really not. I mean, I never heard of these. Let's go through some of the movies I've won over the past few years. The only one here that I even saw, aside from this year, one battle after another, was Oppenheimer. That's the only one. I thought Oppenheimer was long. I thought it was drawn out, but that's best picture quality right there. I never even heard of most of these movies. Green Book, Parasite, No Man's Land, Coda, and Nora. I don't even know what these movies are.
Well, Coda goes back to its beginnings.
Oh, thank you.
As a music joke.
I saw what you did there. The Shape of Water, I just know it's some woman who's in love with a fish. That's all I know about that one. That's
Aquaman.
Oh, right. Sorry. Got confused by that one. Oh, that's Aquaman. I don't know what any of these movies are. Do you think maybe people aren't watching the Oscars because nobody knows what the movies are? Do you think they're tired of the celebrities? Or do you think it's a combination of people just not caring anymore because there's so much content out there?
I don't know. That one battle after another had Chase Infinity in it.
Uh-huh. Who?
I don't know.
I was going to say, who's that? I don't even know which actor that is in the movie. I didn't even know who half those people were. It was an unhinged, weird movie.
Oh, it's a lady.
There you go. There you go. Couldn't even identify what gender they were, Zach. That's very discriminatory of you. This has gotten to the point, no wonder it's moving to YouTube. Is it moving to YouTube next year or the year after? I think it's next year.
I think it's next year.
I think it's next year. They're moving to YouTube. Because really, all it's about is the clips nowadays on social media. That's really all the Oscars are about. Did you have any personal favorites for the Oscars this year? Was there anything you were cheering? Yeah, I'm not sure there actually
F1
was.
for Best Sound, which it won.
Okay, it did win Best. Was it up for anything else?
I think so.
Yeah. Oh, it had great sound. It did have great sound.
It did have great sound.
By the way. It really, really did. This one here. Hey, Ari, is anybody talking about how the Iranian soccer team had to go back to Iran because the regime captured all their family members? Didn't hear anybody mention that on the main stage.
2029 for the Oscars on YouTube, by the way.
They're going to wait that long? Oh, that must be when their contract is up with ABC
think so, yeah,
or whoever does it. Oh, that might explain it. Okay. So, Zach's getting a lot of love over on the text line. People are really happy about this one. They're happy for having Zach around. This one here, Benicio del Toro was good, but otherwise ho-hum. The only thing I liked about the Oscars, yes, I actually had the whole thing on last night in case there was some moment of outrage, the Kate Hudson Baby Yoda thing. Aside from that, there was nothing at this award ceremony for me at all. At all. And when we come back, there's not much in this budget for anybody else here in Washington. We're going to tell you how the taxes are fueling corporate flight when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, lots of companies announced they're closing their doors over the weekend. I think the Democrats may have misjudged what their income tax was going to do. But before we get to any of that, my friends, we have your chance to pay your bills. That's right, my friends. New contest starting today. It's our National Pay Your Bills competition where you get a chance to win $2,000 cash. So what you have to do for this is you enter the keyword I give you to the number I give you. So that way you can have help paying your bills. And if you want to spend it on, gas or bread. Oh, that's today's keyword, bread. Text the word bread, B-R-E-A-D, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. You have until the end of this hour, have until 5 o'clock, to text the keyword bread, B-R-E-A-D, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. You have 4 chances to win every single weekday as long as the contest is going on at 8 a.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m., and, of course, at 4 p.m. right here on the Ari Hoffman Show. Now, you're going to need that money, my friends, because the income tax is now a thing. Well, at least it will be when Governor Turd Ferguson actually ends up signing the thing. So I would expect a whole bunch of media outlets to be calling this out, talking about the capital flight. So I see this editorial.
Turd Ferguson.
Exactly. You would expect that, but they're not actually doing it. I see this editorial from the Seattle Times, and I think to myself, oh, are they actually calling him out? Headline, Governor Bob Ferguson fails to put his foot down on Washington income tax. And I'm thinking, oh, this is great. They're going to call him out for how stupid this was. No. That's not what they're doing. They're saying he had all these demands for changes or things included to the income tax, and he barely got any of them at all. So the Seattle Times...
He put his foot down and said, ooh, sorry. Did I step on you? My bad.
Put his foot down to run away. Run the other way is what he did. Please, sir, I'd like some more. That's Bob Ferguson, right? In fact, the Washington Policy Center has this great graphic about his demands versus reality. Ready? This is great. So, Ferguson's demand. You know what? I gotta make sure I have the right inspiration anytime we talk about Turd Ferguson here, ready to go. Okay. So, his first demand, this one right here, crystal clear, quote unquote, in his support of a constitutional amendment limiting the income tax to millionaires. Well, did he actually do that?
Yeah, well, who gives a damn?
No, he didn't do that at all. No constitutional amendment. House and Senate Democrats voted the idea down. Okay. Well, how about free school lunch and breakfast for all students? Hey, Turd, right here it says you had an intent pledge to fund it in 2029, but no actual funding.
Hey, I speak a little French. You're an assbite. Pardon my French.
Okay, so he's not happy that I'm calling him out for any of this. 2 sales tax holidays to give back to school shoppers some tax relief. House Democrats voted it down. It's not in the bill. So whenever he promises these tax holidays, they just ain't there. Limiting sales tax on baby formula. House Democrats voted the idea down. Not in the bill. A majority of the revenue from the income tax given back to the people in tax relief. Less than 30% goes to tax relief. The rest goes to the general fund. So none of this is actually going to happen. But watch, you'll see that when we run an initiative to try and repeal this thing, what's going to happen? You're getting rid of the money for school lunches and baby formula, and oh, you Republicans are evil. Just watch. That's what's going to happen. Well, the Democrats said there'd be no capital flight. Nobody would leave. Other states have sales tax. Other states have income tax. Other states have capital gains tax. People aren't going to leave.
Yeah, but not all of them.
Exactly right. They're going to go the ones that do have it. So, this one from Fox 13. Dozens of workers in Kent, Washington will be laid off as a food manufacturer announces the closure of their facility in the city.
Bye.
Exactly. The Minnesota-based company Rise Baking will permanently shut down their operations. Man, we can't even have bread lines because we got no place to get the bread from. Thank you. Okay, all right.
I'm out of practice.
There we go. Thank you, Zach. In a statement from the company, they explain a newer, more energy efficient, and larger facility in Utah will be opening. Oh, so you're closing your facility here to make your bread in Utah. In this transition to operations in Pleasant View, Utah, by the way, their view is probably pretty pleasant, not like some of the other views around here where your view is a homeless guy crapping on the sidewalk. The decision to close the Kent facility was made after careful consideration, quote unquote. The company recognizes the impact this has had on employees and their families and is committed to supporting those affected through a severance and retention package aligned with years of service, as well as opportunities to pursue other roles within the organization. Do you know what that means in practical terms?
Move to Utah.
There you go. Hey, you want to be a Mormon? Hey, you like skiing? Hey, let's go to Utah.
You like beer? Too bad.
Too bad. We're not doing any of that here. That's what it basically means. That's it. So I guess we need bread and roses too, right? Isn't that Katie Wilson's little line? We get the bread lines and the roses from their Communist Manifesto nonsense. Layoffs go into effect beginning August 7th. So they're out of here. We discussed earlier how Blazing Bagels is gone. And then I saw this. So the algorithm has clearly decided that if you're conservative, you want to be friends with tech people because you're all mad about the millionaire, which it's not a millionaire tax. You're all mad about the income tax. And my feed has been blown up with people in the tech community who are like, that's it, we're out of here. This one from Mark Barros. Mark Barros runs a company called Moment, which is one of these tech companies. He says, after 40 years, born and raised, I left Washington. Moment is leaving this month as well. I'm not even a millionaire affected by this tax, but when you add up all the other costs to run a business in Washington, we can't afford it. You can build a remote team and reopen Wyoming, removing all of these costs. Washington is incredibly beautiful, especially in the summers. And the people are great. Unfortunately, the numbers don't lie. And unless you run a super high margin software business, Washington is just too expensive. Personally, you never pick Washington to start a company. Gas taxes now some of the highest in the country. Sales tax up to 10.5% in Seattle. Property taxes 1% of your home value. With a path, they can take this to 3%. The total money in this tax, they have increased to nearly 100% over the last decade. Capital gains tax, new in the last 3 years, went from 0 to 9%. It targets business owners and not real estate. Estate tax, they recently changed it to a progressive system that's up to 35%. Just in the state of Washington, housing prices are some of the highest in the U.S. Food costs are unreal. Just visit a Seattle grocery or restaurant. Business, very little capital. Great angel investors, but almost no venture capital or larger funding sources. Super high salaries for high-tech talent. This has changed, but Amazon, Microsoft, etc. paid very high rates for a long time. B&O tax paid as a percentage of your sales. Sales and use tax, this is the real killer. What pushed us out was the recent change to sales and use tax. It used to be that you paid this tax on physical things you bought for your business, similar to sales tax. Now you pay it on 100% of the items you buy. Think Shopify, Amazon Web Services, Google, etc. Even if your team is remote, you pay 10% sales tax on 100% of these purchases, no matter where people are located. But the real kicker was when they enhanced this law to be a tax that applies to all digital advertising. Run Facebook ads in Germany, you pay a Washington state with a 10% tax. Overnight, that is a $200,000 a year tax that did not exist last year. Again, not even based in what your ads run or where your team is. Incorporated in Washington state, you will pay this tax. So, for example, when I used to run the event rental company and we would rent out bounce houses all over the place, I had this guy who was great at Google advertising. We popped up first in every search if you needed a bounce house, if you need a photo booth, if you need anything. And I know how much that cost, but it paid for itself. I was doing the math last night out of curiosity when I saw this post. It would have added so much money, I would have had to increase the prices on renting the bounce house to pay for the marketing, on renting the bounce houses to pay for the Google ads. It was so insane. What makes us sad is all political diversity disappeared years ago. Is that debate that keeps government from taking everything. One political team has run the state for plus 30 years, and Seattle for more than 50 years. This train has been coming for years and is now accelerating. Washington government can never have enough money. I hope there's a new generation of company builders who see this as an opportunity and can run into the burning building. But why would they? Why would they? The companies that I have right now, I'm looking at how to reincorporate them elsewhere. Because right now, my full-time gig is here on this show. This is my full-time gig. I sold my companies. I've got one or two that kind of do some little stuff here and there, but I don't want to pay any of these taxes. So I'm looking how to reincorporate them elsewhere. Because if I don't have to pay these taxes, why would I pay these taxes? Joe Whalen, who's been doing an absolute great job. He's a corporate and tax attorney covering this stuff. His stuff's been popping up in my feed a lot. $3.4 billion a year. What he's talking about is the amount of revenue they expect to bring in from the millionaire's tax. He says it's riding on 16,000 households. That's what Senate Bill 6346 asks us to bet on. 0.5% of Washington families funding a massive new recurring spending commitment. High-income earners are the most mobile taxpayers in the country. They have choices. They have accountants. They have Zillow. When they leave, and some will, that $3.4 billion doesn't quietly shrink. The spending it funds doesn't go away. Washington would be building its budget on the narrowest, most volatile tax base possible. That's not a revenue strategy. That's a cliff. Where did we see this happen most recently? Here in Seattle. In Seattle, they passed the Jumpstart tax. What's the Jumpstart tax? A tax on payroll for quote-unquote high earners, which basically applied to everybody who works at Amazon. Amazon said, bye, we're out of here, and went over to Bellevue. Now, the vacancy rate in office buildings in downtown Seattle is 32%. Buildings, because they have no tenants, their value went down 58%. Yet the businesses got another $1 billion in taxes. Do you want anybody to stay here anymore? It's not just big tech you're chasing out of town, because I see the lefties celebrating that. Seattle Lighting. Seattle Lighting was in business for 109 years. I'm sure many of you have stories, because when I mentioned this to the newsroom today, they're like, oh, my mom used to take us there when we needed a lamp, because they had everything. I went there several times with my father-in-law when he was looking for something for the house, but he needed to use my truck. We would go to Seattle
Get
Lighting.
a lot of good ideas.
I see what you did. Light bulb over. Very good, Zach. We would go to Seattle Lighting. What's Seattle Lighting right next door to? It is right next to where the Seahawks play. It is right next to Lumen Field. And they want to put a homeless shelter and drug treatment center in that location. I hope you don't plan on driving. They don't want you driving to the stadium. You take the light rail. Oh, wait, who hangs out on the light rail? Oh, see all the problems you're going to be having now? Oh, it's okay. At least you can get some food down. Oh, no, Blazing Bagels is closed. They're not there anymore either. You think somebody's going to take their place? The Blazing Bagels location I used to drive past all the time is the one right across from Krispy Kreme. So the one right across from Krispy Kreme, that one looks like it's in an old gas station, something like that. It just looks like it used to be some kind of gas station style place. You know which one I'm talking about? Those of you who know the one in Soto. So the one in Soto, how long until the homeless set up on that property?
Was the Blazing Bagels really next to the Krispy Kreme?
It's across from the Krispy Kreme.
I love they're like, you can get savory rings or sweet rings.
They're literally across the street from each other.
I never noticed that. That's great.
Yeah, but what's going to happen? Here, watch.
When I see a Krispy Kreme sign, whatever's around it, I couldn't tell you.
Dude. When I see it, I mean, that is my crack cocaine. Okay, there's not a lot of things I have adopted here. Do you know that next year, by the way, I will have lived here longer than I lived in New York? That's right. Next year will be that year, or it ties.
And is that the year you'll finally acknowledge JP Patches is a big deal?
No, that's the year I will finally start pronouncing things correctly around here, because then I got no excuse left. That's what will happen next year. But Krispy Kreme, my favorite donut in the world. In the world. That is my favorite. I've had a lot of kosher donuts. Krispy Kreme, my absolute favorite. But across the street is Krispy Kreme from this place. What's going to happen? The homeless are going to move on to this property. They will probably burn it down. When you say hot and fresh, it's a different kind of hot and fresh across the street from the Krispy Kreme. Is anybody going to want to go to the First Avenue Krispy Kreme anymore after that?
I'll still brave it.
Okay, you'll still brave it. I got no choice. It's the only kosher Krispy Kreme in town. That's what I'm going to. So I have no choice. I'm going down there. So I'll go down to that Krispy Kreme. What am I going to see? A hulk of a store across the street. And also, if you look at that entire row on First Avenue heading towards the stadiums, aside from the strip joints, a lot of other stuff has moved out down there. So now you're talking about more and more places being gone. That's what we're looking at, and soon enough, we're Detroit. Now, this post went viral over the weekend for all the wrong reasons. Captain Mark Kelly, senator from Arizona, the spaceman himself, wrote this. Liz Berry, he's talking about Representative Liz Berry, Democrat from Seattle, is a Washington state lawmaker who worked for Gabby Giffords, that's his wife, and just helped pass the state's first ever income tax on millionaires. After 25 straight hours of debate on the House floor, Gabby and I are proud of you, Liz. You know how many Democrats in Washington, including Liz Berry, probably smacked themselves in the face from this post and said, Mark Kelly, you're a moron. 1, he admitted it's an income tax. 2, he's cheering her on and labeling her with this, which means, guess what? He just made her a target for Ari Hoffman and whoever we're going to run against her. That's what we're going to do. But on top of that, he is now celebrating. We're proud of you for taxing people. Every single campaign ad against Berry should have this post in it. Every single one. And said he's proud for passing the state's first ever income tax. Hey, if Mark Kelly ever wanted to be president or vice president, guess what? This is a campaign ad against him too. This is a campaign ad in Arizona against him. He's proud for passing an income tax here. By the way, KVI listeners, I know there's a lot of you that moved to Arizona and still listen to KVI.com and on the app. I need you guys to go over to X. I will share this post with you. You guys need to use this the next time he runs for anything. Proud of the income tax in Arizona. Elect whoever is running against Mark Kelly. Because they said the quiet part out loud. This is exactly what they want. I went back to that Como News poll, the one that I told you about a few days ago. Now it's got over 40,000 votes. And the question was, do you feel passing the millionaire's tax reflects the will of Washington state voters? The numbers haven't changed. 97% say no. 97%. People do not want this thing at all. At all, at all, at all, at all. Over here, Jeff and Kent, conservative ads for the referendum need to get out ahead of this now, starting with what Fergie said he'd have to sign and what it actually contains. Jeff, I'll tell you something else. Instead, what you got to do is right now, you got to start talking about how this thing is going to impact everybody. The businesses leaving, you name it. Every single thing, you got to start talking about this now. You can't wait until the initiative is on the ballot. You got to start running the advertising against this thing right now. That's how you actually win. We can't afford to lose this fight. Literally can't afford it. Going to take money out of our pockets. Now, normally I'm not happy about layoffs, but it looks like about 200,000 truckers are about to be out of a job. Why? Because they have illegally issued CDLs, and the Trump administration is cracking down. We'll tell you what's going on up next. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, coming up in our 5 o'clock hour, got another chance for you to win fantabulous prizes, including two tickets to see Aaron Lewis and the Stateliners. So always keep your radio tuned to 570 KVI. Left on your dial, always right on the issues. You can also stream us at KVI.com. Download the KVI app and, of course, subscribe on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. Tell me if this story sounds familiar. And I promise we are live. I promise this is not a rerun of an old episode. The Department of Homeland Security announced the arrest of an illegal immigrant truck driver after a crash in Indianapolis left a U.S. citizen hospitalized in critical condition. According
Another one.
Exactly. Oh, you're going to get to use that a lot in this article. Hang on a second here. According to DHS, 25-year-old Indian national Sukadev
driving.
I was reaching for it. You beat me. Sukadev Singh was driving a semi-truck on March 6th at approximately 6:30 p.m. when he struck a pedestrian near East Raymond Street and Interstate 65. Indiana State Police responded to the scene, arrested Singh, and contacted U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So they contacted him almost immediately. By the way, there was another accident here in Washington, and I have a theory what's going on. I'm not reporting on that story yet, but as soon as I hear back from ICE, I'll let you know. ICE agents arrived later that evening, took Singh into custody. He will remain in ICE custody pending the outcome of immigration proceedings. The victim was transported to a local hospital, remained in critical condition as of DHS's announcement. Federal officials said Singh had been issued a non-domiciled commercial driver's license by the state of New York on January 2nd, 2025. DHS officials criticized New York's policy that allowed Singh to obtain the license. Quote, "It is common sense. Illegal aliens should not be operating 18-wheelers on American highways. We are praying this individual makes a full recovery," said Deputy Assistant Secretary Lauren Biss. She said it's incredibly dangerous for illegal aliens who often don't know our traffic laws or even English to be operating 18-wheelers on American roads. Sanctuary governors like Kathy Hochul must stop giving illegal aliens driver's licenses before even more Americans get injured or killed. Stop here for a second. Has anybody played that truck driving video game that was at a lot of arcades about 5-10 years ago? The one where you pick what you're towing, pick what you're trailing. It was not an easy game, I will tell you that. And even a game like that does not compare to driving a real semi-truck. How about this for a second? How many people know how to drive a stick shift? How many people know how to drive it uphill? Now factor in all this other stuff where you can't read the street signs, you don't know the rules, you don't know the language. This is a catastrophe waiting to happen. We're just lucky it hasn't been anybody driving anything that holds gasoline or anything else flammable. Yesterday, I'm driving my daughter. She loves driving my wife's new Jeep that I got from my friends over at Renton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Bright orange sucker. You can see us coming from a mile away. So she loves driving this car, and we're driving on the freeway. This is one of her first times on the freeway. I think she's been on the freeway a grand total of 3 times. Never on I-5 going north, especially on a Sunday where God knows what's going on over there. And right next to us is an 18-wheeler, but it's got the fuel tank on it. And me, I don't know if you've been driving like me. I asked this question at State of the Union. Half the room, their hands went up. I said, nowadays, when you're driving next to a semi-truck, do you get out of there as fast as possible? And almost every hand went up in the room. So I see this thing. I got the new 15-year-old driver next to me who's not fully trained yet. And I said, all right, sweetie, here's what I want you to do. And you're never going to hear me say this again. I want you to put your foot down to the floorboard and hit the gas and get the hell away from this guy. And she said, but Dad, the speed limit is 60. I go, yeah, you're about to break it right now to get away from this guy. And that's exactly what we did. Boom, gone. That sucker had good pickup on it, by the way. Jeep Compass, by the way. Yes, shameless plug for that sucker. It was a lot of fun. So I know a lot of you are having the exact same thing. Some of you are probably doing it right now while you're listening to the show. Drive safely, drive safely, drive safely. The agency also pointed to a similar case, announced in October involving another illegal immigrant from India, identified as Anmol, and I was wondering if that was his real name. No. It said no name given on the driver's license. On the commercial driver's license issued by New York. No name given.
I think it's pronounced no name given.
Yeah, chair, pronounced Shair. Yeah, that one, right? ICE records show he entered the United States illegally in 2023 and was later placed into removal proceedings. How many cases are we going to go through like this? I mean, here's another one for you right here. Last year, Indian national Hajinder Singh, who was in the country illegally, was charged with vehicular manslaughter after allegedly making an illegal U-turn in a semi-truck in Florida highway that resulted in the deaths of 3 people. That was the one where he made the illegal U-turn and the SUV plowed right into him. That one. He failed an English proficiency test and could identify only 1 of 4 highway traffic signs during questioning. Wait, we got more of these. Here we go. Right now, got this one for you. Another case involved Kamalpreet Singh, an illegal immigrant truck driver arrested in Washington state after a crash that killed 29-year-old man, young father, when his tractor trailer slammed into stop traffic. Investigators say the truck driver made no attempt to brake before impact and allegedly falsified his electronic driving logbook. So that's 3 that we know about, and their all last name is all Singh. Unrelated. That's the Smith of India. So how many of these cases is it going to take for blue states to wake up? Well, now the Trump administration has to step in because they aren't. This one is from the Washington Post. So
Another one.
Exactly. Bear with the framing here. Some 200,000 immigrant truck drivers will begin to lose their commercial driver's licenses as they expire under a new Trump administration rule that takes effect on Monday. They're trying to make it sound like these people just came here for work. No, they're illegals. Wait a second. Hang on. Can we say that number again?
I mean, they did. They just don't do it very well.
There you go. 200,000 time bombs on wheels. The Transportation Department's rule will weigh whether the beleaguered trucking industry, which is critical to transporting goods across America at a time when energy costs are surging due to the war in Iran. Well, what's it going to weigh? That's the period. That's the end of the sentence. Weighing that against what? Against what? Man, they're so intent on being mad about this, they didn't even finish their sentence. The rule bars immigrants who are asylum seekers, refugees, or recipients of Deferred Action Childhood Arrivals, or DACA, from obtaining commercial driver's licenses, part of the Trump administration's widening campaign against immigrant truck drivers following several high-profile accidents last summer. How about it's about a bunch of people who can't read English? All right, let's do this for a minute. I speak Hebrew badly. I know Hebrew. I can pray in Hebrew. I can read biblical Hebrew. Conversational Hebrew, totally different thing. So when I go to Israel and I try to order something in Hebrew, that is embarrassing for everybody. We kind of stay away from that. I know the things I memorize by heart, like my order at KFC. Mispar shtayim bevakasha b'li agvaniot, supersized. Got to add the supersized right there at the end. I know that's what I want. I know that means number 3, please.
What's number 3?
That was the filet. I like the filet sandwich at the KFC.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't have the KFC there anymore. It hasn't been there in years. But see, my Hebrew's already out of date.
The Popeyes route?
Yeah, they don't have the Popeyes either. They got other places. I go for barbecue.
I know they don't have a Chick-fil-A. Not that.
They definitely do not have a Chick-fil-A. Though I will argue, I could make the argument for a Chick-fil-A there. I could make the argument for that. Well, you just have to say, okay, you guys can not work on Saturdays and Sundays in Israel.
It's a bad business model.
It really is. Not open 2 days a week. Not great. Not great. Anyway, the Washington Post is trying to make it seem like it's a bad thing that they're taking away these driver's licenses. No, it's protecting people. And you know what? If you want to operate on those roads, then you got to learn the laws of the roads you're operating in. You have to know the language at a minimum. And they're not even doing that. How many of these CDL farms, as they're called, are just issuing these driver's licenses, even though the person can't read English and has failed multiple tests, and just issuing them. And I know the truck drivers that listen to the show, this ticks them off because this is their profession. They take it seriously. And these guys are giving them a bad name. Completely terrible. Completely terrible. Up next, my friends, so what else is terrible is this mass exodus of the tech companies. One of the tech friends is going to be joining us in studio to talk about how this is affecting the industry. Are people leaving? Are people staying? Are they calling it quits? Give you all details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show. Well, it seems like the Seattle Supersonics and the NBA may be the only ones crazy enough to start a business here because everybody else seems like they're moving out. Joining me now in studio to discuss how all these taxes, regulations, et cetera, are affecting the tech community is lifelong Seattle entrepreneur Jesse Proudman. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Really nice having you here. And this is really, I've been wading into the waters of the tech world and hearing what's like coming from you guys, because so many people in the tech world have told me, Ari, you don't understand. We're all busy working on our companies. We were never politically involved until now. Why don't you tell me about what got you politically involved?
Yeah, this is a funny topic, I think, and it's exactly right. As an entrepreneur, you're so laser focused on building your business and everything involved and kind of keeping it afloat that coming up and seeing what else is happening in the world is a challenging proposition. For this particular issue, I had a close friend of mine, Ivo Ginsberg, who runs a entrepreneurial workspace here called Foundations, and he started screaming in my ear a couple weeks ago. And that was sort of the first realization that, something is happening here, and it's moving quite quickly. And now, sort of as I've been publicly talking about it, I'm realizing it's been sort of this slow-moving train happening for a couple of years. It's sort of unfortunate to be so late to the party.
So Aviel was actually in studio, I'd say, about 3-4 weeks ago. I see that now he has a podcast where now he's talking about a lot of this stuff, too. And actually, he's going to be in here tomorrow because I kind of want to see what changed between when we first spoke to him and now. So you're in the tech world. You've been in the tech world for a while. What are you hearing from everybody? Is everybody bailing? Is everybody moving out? Or are people just saying what's here is here and nobody's going to invest further? Or am I completely wrong and the Sonics have the right idea or the NBA has the right idea and people are going to be coming here?
Yeah, no, everybody's on their way out. It was the biggest surprise to me, actually. So I wrote a piece in GeekWire last week talking about just my perspective. So wrong tax, wrong time. We've got this wave of transformation happening with AI and how that's going to impact the general job ecosystem. And on top of that, now you've got this law, this income tax, affecting really the highest earners in the state. And sure, it's like eat the rich, tax the rich, like that's the mantra of the day. But these people are mobile. And when I posted this article, what I came to realize is that so many people that I know and respect in the community, they've already left, or they're planning on it. Like people aren't going to sit here and sort of take this. And as those people depart, the budget still has the hole, right? And so and then on top of that, you end up with all the job losses from this tech transformation that we're going through, and you're going to have to fill that budget deficit somehow. And now you've got the structure in place with the tax to simply remove the deduction and tax everybody. Like it's an incredibly slippery slope what they've created here.
It's really crazy. We're talking with Jesse Proudman, who's a lifelong Seattle entrepreneur, big member of the tech world. And what's funny is I went to a GeekWire event, I'd say 15 years ago now, something like that. So I've been on their mailing list ever since. The way I heard about you was not Twitter. I saw the article. And then I saw the one they printed in response to yours to have both sides of this issue. And the other guy, correct me if you think I'm mischaracterizing what he said. The other guy was saying, well, I'm happy to pay more taxes. And that's basically what I took away from that. And I go, great, dude, you want to pay more taxes. There's ways for you to do that without destroying the entire market. Did you read it the same way?
Yeah, so that article actually came out first. And mine was sort of written in a retort. And I went and I looked. You can actually go donate to the state treasurer. They have a whole page set up. So if you feel like you're not paying your fair share, you have the right to go contribute whatever you feel is equitable. So it's sort of a funny contrast.
Yeah, especially because you've got people who we already know are leaving. So forget the Howard Schultzes of the world, but a lot of people don't know the name Nick Hanauer. Nick Hanauer is one of the original investors at Amazon. Rumor has it he has re-domiciled, so he's not technically gone. He has just made it that he's not paying taxes here, and this is a guy who sunk tens of millions of dollars into making sure there were more taxes here. That I really don't understand. So when you say all these people are gone, do you think there's a fight brewing, or you think they're just like, screw it, I'm going to Texas, I'm going to Florida, I'm going to Arizona, I'm going to San Francisco, I'm going wherever else it is? Or do you think there are people who want to stay and fight so they don't have to move?
Yeah, I think it comes back to what we were talking about at the beginning here, that people are so focused on building their businesses, they aren't thinking about these topics, and now sort of people have woken up. So even the folks that have moved, they're open to the fight. And folks like myself, like I love it here. I've grown up my entire life here. I have kids. Like I want to stay in Washington. I don't want to just roll over and pay this tax. And really, like the bigger fear is not just the tax itself. It's sort of that slippery slope. What else does it do to the state? We'll move to we're already sort of ranking like 45th in tax policy nationwide. Yeah. This only furthers us down that list. Like it conceptually is all wrong. And I don't want to see that happen in my home. I don't want to see the consequences of that. play out across the entire state. So here to fight.
Where's everybody going who's leaving? Or is there no rhyme or reason to it at all?
Yeah, it seems to be sort of four main destinations right now. Austin has been the primary vector. Miami, big one. You've got Tennessee, Nashville, and then Vegas.
Gotcha. I've heard some people say that people are going back to San Francisco, and I said, that doesn't sound quite right given how many people left San Francisco. Is that something you're hearing also?
That is also happening. So if you think about it, like if the taxes are going to be equal, you'll go somewhere with better weather. we're putting up with... Like look outside right now. We put up with horrible weather.
Yeah.
And there, we have access to all kinds of beautiful things here in the Northwest. And certainly it's a wonderful place to live. But all things being equal, like California has a lot of advantages.
So what does stay and fight look like to you? Does that mean get in front of more people? Does that mean do more interviews? Does that mean donate to political causes? You don't have to necessarily give away the strategy, but just trying to figure out what everybody's thinking at this point.
Yeah, I got to figure that out. This is my sort of first foray into politics in quite some time. And I think that the reality is things have changed quite a bit sort of since like high school, college, when I was last looking at things. So, the world of AI has created all kinds of unique strategies that we can employ. And I think small people can have sort of a much larger impact in terms of distributing messages than they've historically been able to. So, we're figuring it out.
There's some people I have to introduce you to. We won't talk about it online yet, but there's some people I want to introduce you to, not in the party, but there's a lot of people around here who have just had enough and said, I don't really stand for this party. I don't really stand for that party. I just want to run my business and be left alone.
Yeah.
Do you think there would be interest in that? Do you think that people would be interested in something like that that's kind of apolitical, just focused on these kind of issues?
Yeah, I think, yes, absolutely. Part of the problem we have with politics in Washington is that everything's become so pushed to the fringes on both sides, and it becomes sort of this argument about, and really attention grabbing. It's like, how can I make the most noise and have the sort of the most outlandish set of views? And the reality is so many of us really just want to be in the middle. Like, we want a nice place to live, and we want it to be well run. And that's like a novel concept that isn't really talked about much anymore. So the objective here is how do we bring the conversation a little bit back to center? How do we make things a little bit more normal? And then how do we get that message distributed as wide as we can?
That's how I started. And now I do this for a living. that's kind of, the old line is, you don't really get involved in these things until you get mugged or until you get robbed or whatever the case may be. And it seems like that's happening to a lot of people right now. Jesse, I follow you on social media now, and I'm loving the stuff you're posting. If people want to follow you, are you encouraging looking for more followers on social media to get the message out?
Yeah, absolutely. We're having fun with the videos. It's I'm Jesse Proudman on X, and that's kind of the primary medium right now.
I have to say, the AI videos are very, very entertaining to me. I have some ideas for some ones for you if my humor's up to snuff with all that. But anyway, Jesse Proudman, lifelong Seattle entrepreneur, thank you very much for picking up this fight, because sometimes it feels kind of alone here when you're railing against this kind of stuff. It's nice to know that there are still some normal people around here who realize what's going on.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Appreciate you joining us today. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just want to remind everybody, check out the brand new and redesigned KVI.com. I post a whole bunch of articles up there. Zach helps me get those online, and a lot of times you'll actually see them before we talk about them on the show because we're always prepping for the next day. So if you want to see news before you hear it right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI, head on over to KVI.com. While you're there, sign up to become a member of KVI's Insiders Club. So that way you are on our email list. That way you hear about the latest events because we are looking forward to having some this summer. So I saw this article from the Seattle Times. Somebody sent me a link to this, which I kind of started laughing, but I kind of felt bad at the same time. But then I didn't feel bad because I remember these guys are trying to stop me from getting a press pass. So let me tell you what the article's about. Frank Blevin, who was the publisher of the Seattle Times for a very long time. It's been the Blevin family for years and years and years. Recently stepped down, and his son Ryan, who I hear is not the sharpest tool in the toolbox, is now in charge of running the thing. So the headline is basically self-aggrandizing the Seattle Times in this article. Look how great we are. Look what we've done to make sure there's journalism for you. I just saw the headline, and immediately I kind of cringed. Why Frank Blevin spent his family's fortune to save Seattle's newspaper. You know, the first thing I think about, Doc Brown in Back to the Future. Where is Doc Brown living in the 1980s when Marty McFly is volunteering in his lab or whatever? He's living in basically a garage next to a Burger King because his house was burned down in a fire. You hear later from Doc Brown, after he tests the time machine for the first time at the Twin Pines Mall, before it gets renamed the Lone Pines Mall, what happens? He says, "It's taken me my entire family fortune to realize that day." When he's talking about the flux capacitor. Your entire family fortune you spent on a time machine that nobody knows exists, that gets run over by a train at the end of the movie. Now, I guess maybe if you extrapolate out, well, he meets Clara, and he has Jules and Vern, the kids, and he gets a steam time train. I guess everything worked out okay in the end.
Yeah, but this is a newspaper.
There you go. This is not...
And to think you could have been selling Encyclopedia Britannica door to door.
No, I could have been selling the Seattle Times door to door if anybody still ordered the Seattle Times. Yeah, that's just not happening.
You just want to wear the hat.
No, really, really don't. I mean, I want to do the dance moves. That's what it is, you know? So it says,
I hate that I got that.
Yeah. Zach's been going to too many musicals. That's what's going on.
I'm going to go home and tell my wife, I already made a Newsies joke.
And I got it. So I'm reading this here by Linda V. Mapes, special to the Seattle Times. You might have thought that Frank Blevin winced as the wrecking ball gutted the Seattle Times landmark building. It was 2017, and the Blevin family had sold every last acre it owned in downtown Seattle, including its 1931-built headquarters, to pay the bills at the Seattle Times. So you're telling me you were sitting on a whole bunch of money for real estate that could have taken care of your kids and their kids and their kids for however long, and you sold it to save the Seattle Times? It's nice that you think you're saving democracy. Why didn't you sell the Seattle Times to somebody else? I'm sure there are times where it could have been like, hey, this thing might still have some value in it. Instead, you sold all the real estate in downtown Seattle that your family owned? He said they were knocking down the building. Everybody was in tears and freaking out. And somebody asked Frank, God, this must be tearing your heart out. And he's like, are you kidding? That's our future. That's funding journalism. So now, when you hear that the president, CEO of the Seattle Times went to Olympia to beg for a tax on big tech to fund their dying newspaper, this is their MO. This is their MO. And what's interesting about this is they gave out their numbers.
Everyone's a George Soros in their own mind, huh?
Something like that. I don't know. Evil? They give out their subscriber numbers here. And I'm wondering if they're actually true. Because now I got to go look back at where they used to be. Dummy heads put this in the article. The paper has 108,000 paid digital-only subscribers and a daily print circulation of 60,000. That's it? 60,000 people in a city with a population of close to 1 million for the time being. You're telling me that less than 20% of the city has anything to do with your outlet whatsoever, let alone every other city, town, place around here. That's nothing. With about 500 employees. 500 employees? How many employees do you need to reprint whatever the Washington Post ran that morning? How many employees do you need to reprint whatever the New York Times ran that morning? Including 170 in the newsroom. Now I'm even more mad, by the way. You have 170 people in your newsroom? How come we only see articles from the same 3 morons? What are they doing in that newsroom? Here, this is my favorite part. It's the largest paper north of Los Angeles and west of Minneapolis. Is there a lot north of Los Angeles and west? Oh, you're bigger than Portland. Great. Fantastic. Wonderful. Are you kidding me about this? This is just bad business on multiple levels. And now you're telling everybody how bad your business is? I really want to take these numbers over to some other local companies and find out how many subscribers they have. Like, I just want to say to Brandy Cruz, hey, Brandy, how many subscribers do you have? Center Square, how many subscribers do you have? I want to see who's got more than the Seattle Times, because I bet you it's more than you realize.
Most people.
Most people. Exactly right. Lots more to talk about as the show continues, my friends. The latest from the war in Iran. What's with all these fake videos claiming that we're losing this thing? Tell you all about it when we come back. You'll listen to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570, KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show's final hour free for all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, more chances to win fantabulous prizes. And Mom Donnie and Katie Wilson are finding out there's more to running a city than slogans that help convince people to vote for you. But before we get to any of that, I got a couple of great texts from the last segment. This one here from Dave. We were talking about how Frank Blevin, who was the publisher of the Seattle Times, basically used his entire family fortune to save the Seattle Times. When we mentioned the numbers of how many people are working at the Seattle Times, 107 people in the newsroom.
No way. No.
That's what they said. That's what they said. He says, why are none of those reporters working in the Washington Capitol? Oh, burn right there.
Boom. Roasted.
Exactly.
Them tables looked real empty.
Exactly. Now, look, as somebody who had to give up businesses because Jay Inslee ruined my businesses during COVID, I know. Believe me, I know. I'm not trying to rip on the Blevins for trying to keep a business alive. I'm ripping on the Blevins for realizing at what point do you call it quits on something that is dying where the media is not looking very good, like the Seattle Times. You have 107 people in your newsroom and you can't send somebody down every day of the legislative session? What the hell are they writing about? Your paper's only 3 pages thick. What are they doing over there? You need a really big sports section? How many people do you need for sports in Seattle? No, seriously. I'm asking.
I can tell you from experience.
Zach knows firsthand.
It's what if you want to find out more about sports. Check out Northwest News Radio, AM 1097.7 FM for all your sports reporting needs.
Exactly. Zach is moonlighting over there doing all the sports. He's their sports guy now. He covers all the sports in Seattle. Zach, realistically, how long does that take you?
2 hours.
2 hours. Okay, 2 hours.
To my defense, though, I read the Seattle Times.
No, you're not making me look good here.
No,
bro.
yes.
That's okay. That's okay. They actually have a half-decent sports section. Great, so keep the sports section.
If I did sports the way you want me to do sports, it would just be a commercial for the Ari Hoffman Show.
What's wrong with that?
I'd be fired.
Got some other texts from a lot of people who are drivers around here, including school bus drivers, talking about what they had to go through to be licensed here. And they are furious, absolutely furious, about letting people who are not able to speak the language drive trucks. This one here from Lori. Lori texted this earlier. Ari, I drove a school bus in Shoreline, Washington for 30 years. Back in the late 80s or early 90s, I'm guessing, we had to take our first CDL test. We studied like crazy. We had speakers come in to help us. We had study groups. And even after that, it was a difficult test. I'm thankful that it was a very difficult test because I had children of school age at the time, and I don't want unqualified drivers on the road at all, much less driving my children. I cannot imagine trying to pass that test if you don't speak English, if you don't know road signs, if you don't know the laws about the air brakes and the mechanical parts of vehicles. It's unthinkable, unimaginable, and horrifying. Lori, I'm going to tell you a story. I think it's been like 4 years since I told this story. I am not a fan of First Student Buses, that company around here. Yes, I'm saying them on air because I almost died because of them one time. So what happens, we're running a field trip for the Synagogue Youth Program. And when the bus pulls up, it's a charter, rented a charter. And when the school bus pulls up, something's off with the driver. I could tell right away something is off with the driver. And what happens is we're on the bus. And the driver, you know how normally the bus is there, all right, everybody on, the engine's running or whatever. After everybody's sitting down, he shuts off the engine and then gets up to give like an in-flight safety demonstration of the bus, which I thought was a little odd.
These are seats. They are for sitting.
It was kind of that, but it was more the emergency exits are here, here, here. Okay. All right. After that, I'm assuming this is going to be the most by-the-book bus driver ever. He then turns on the music and blasts it through the school bus speakers.
Sounds like a cool guy.
Sounds like a cool guy until he starts hitting the brakes in time with the bus and the music. So I'm being thrown forward like every 5 feet. And I'm like, dude.
What are we doing? Something like slow metal? Like, or something a little quicker?
I don't remember what it was.
Thank goodness it wasn't Sky. Kind of syncopated braking.
Holy cow, I'd be in trouble. Then it gets worse. So then we're going out to the haunted corn maze, Stalker Farms. We're going out there for the haunted corn maze, which we did this every year. And I see it in the distance. And for those of you who've been there before, there's these large floodlights that light up the whole place. And he goes, I know a shortcut. And I'm like, dude, the place is right there. And I'm already like kind of woozy from the driving. And he goes, no, I know a shortcut. We end up on some backcountry road somewhere in the middle of nowhere, somewhere nearby. And we're out on the train tracks. And you do that thing where the bus driver stops the bus, opens the door, turns off the engine so he can do that. He did that on the train tracks. On the train tracks. And what's coming down the thing? So you see this light coming. It was like something out of a movie. That train is, and by the way, for anybody who questions this, I got 50 eyewitnesses. This has become lore in Jewish world around here. This thing is coming towards us and like, back up. The arms start coming down. Ding, 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 ding. They're coming down. He's trying to back up, but there's cars behind us on the track. So as he's trying to back up, the cars aren't realizing what's happening. So they got nowhere to go. Now the car's got to start backing up. And as he's backing up, you hear the arm hit the roof of the bus, and you hear as it tears across the roof of the bus.
We've done so many sound effects.
Yeah. Oh, I got way more of this. What happens is, how the front of the bus, it's got those two mirrors in front of it. So the two mirrors catch the arm. They catch the arm. We are feet away as that train goes zipping by. The kids are freaking out. I'm freaking out. And then I'm like, all right, everybody, corn maze. We got here safely. Kiss the ground. When we get back to the synagogue, these are the early days of cell phones, right? So I'm like, oh, thank God. We didn't even think about camera phones yet. This is just cell phones. One parent comes up to me and goes, was it that close? Because the kid had called the parents to tell them about the crazy bus thing. And I go, yeah, it was that close. The entire Jewish community stopped using First Student after that for the events. Hopefully they've improved in the 15 years since that incident happened. It's no joke. If you have the wrong bus driver, what can actually happen? I really hope that guy doesn't work there anymore.
Well, keep in mind that was a incident or an outing with chaperones and adults on the bus.
Exactly.
In New York, did you ride a bus as a kid or not really?
I rode a bus until after freshman year of high school when I realized the train was faster to Manhattan. And that's when I started taking the train. And then I realized I was too cool for that, so I started taking my own car. And
So you did the bus for a while.
Oh, I did the bus for most of my life.
I mean, you're basically your own chaperone and a bus driver. I mean, I can't even imagine the exams and testing you have to do to become a bus driver. And they're always desperate for more bus drivers, and for good reason. It's a hard job
It's a hard job, and you're responsible for everybody's lives every single day. And plus, you got kids who puke. You got kids who are obnoxious. You got kids tearing open the seats or graffitiing their name on the seats. You got fistfights on the bus. God knows what else. And now, what if you're like the preschool bus driver who has to bring on the car seats and buckle the kids in on the bus? I mean, it's a hard job. And somebody told me at a recent event we were at, they said, Ari, I'm a school bus driver. And they said, you have no idea how much this is happening with the school buses, not just the trucks. And I'm kind of curious which companies are hiring people like that for the school buses. Are they hiring them for the metro buses? Are they hiring them for any of the transportation around here? That's a scary, scary thought. And unfortunately, you know how we're going to find out whether it's happening or not? The first time somebody dies.
And who does the hiring for those positions?
Who's that?
The school districts.
There you go.
So, unless you're a chartered school.
Exactly.
For the most part, hired by the school district.
Exactly
so
right.
I have a feeling you're not going to see a lot of that. Hopefully you don't see that anywhere, but if you're going to see it, it's not going to be in Bethel School District.
Exactly right. So this is the kind of stuff you're now dealing with, and it's scary. It's really, really scary. Switching gears over to something else that's kind of sad over here in Washington. So one of the 6 U.S. Air Force service members killed in a refueling aircraft crash this week in Iraq was from Washington State. The Department of Defense said Captain Ariana Savino, 31 of Covington, was among the service members who died March 12th when a KC-135 aircraft went down in western Iraq during a combat mission supporting operations against Iran. Savino was assigned to the 99th Air Refueling Squadron, a unit stationed at Sumter Smith Joint National Guard Base in Birmingham, Alabama, which functions administratively under the 6th Air Refueling Wing at MacDill Air Force Base in Florida. Also killed were Major John A. Klinner of Auburn and Tech Sergeant Ashley B. Pruitt. Oh, Auburn, Alabama. That's not our Auburn. and Tech Sergeant Ashley B. Pruitt of Bardstown, Kentucky, who were assigned to the 6th Air Refueling Wing. This is very, very sad news, but they gave the last full measure of devotion in service of their country in a just fight. And something that really, really bothers me is politicians using fallen service members to their whims for their causes. So this service member died. They volunteered for the military, volunteered for the Air Force. And what really bothers me is that the Democrats will say something like, she never should have been there. She volunteered to go into danger. How many of the Democrats were upset about the deaths in Afghanistan? How many were upset about what happened at Abbey Gate? I don't remember any Democrats saying anything about that whatsoever. In fact, I remember them ignoring it completely. Here, this person died fighting for freedom, fighting for women to be free in Iran, fighting for people to be free of Iran, protecting our country from Iran's nuclear ambitions. It's insane to me watching the Democrats try to use this. It's nauseating, as a matter of fact, nauseating. When Zach and I were at the RNC, Zach, I think every evening program was pretty powerful at the RNC, the first couple nights especially. Trump speaking after the assassination attempt, that was powerful on its own. But do you remember the two most, in my opinion, the two most powerful nights was the night they did the fallen soldiers from Afghanistan and the salute to the troops and all that? That was bring a tear to your eye, bringing their family members out. I mean, really, really moving stuff. The other night was the Israel thing when they're talking about the hostages and getting the hostages home. Really powerful, powerful stuff. And I see people creating all this online fakery regarding the war, trying to say, like, we're losing. We are not losing to Iran's Navy. Iran's Navy is at the bottom of the ocean. I have a bigger Navy right now than Iran does with my one water skiing boat. That's what I got. I could take on the Iranian Navy right now. Send me over there. I'll clear the Strait of Hormuz. The problem you have is insurgents. The problem you have in the Strait is that people are launching rockets at ships. People are throwing mines, IEDs for the water out in the Strait. That's an issue. President Trump today was asking for help from our allies to clear the Strait. That's what he's looking for help from our allies. They're the ones who need the gas. So why aren't they stepping up? Why aren't they stepping up to help out? I'm a little curious about this.
Guy's got a real problem with water. He wants to drain the swamp. He wants to clear the strait.
I mean, look, less than
He wants to seize the canal. Where does it end?
There you go. Less than 1% of our gas comes through the Strait of Hormuz. So the rest of the world should be stepping up for this. They're going to say, it's not our war. You think Iran wasn't going after everybody? Here's what the president said today.
We are aggressively dismantling Iran's defense industrial base and ability to rebuild its missiles and drone capability is getting down to close to zero. And we're hammering their capacity to threaten commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz with more than 30 mine-laying ships destroyed. We hit, to the best of our knowledge, all of their mine-laying ships. Now they can put them on other types of ships, I guess, and drop them in. But we don't know that any have even been dropped in. We're not sure that any have been. That's a big negative for them if they do it. It's a form of suicide. But we don't know that they have dropped any in. But we've hit all 30 of their ships and destroyed them. They're all at the bottom of the sea. We strongly encourage other nations whose economies depend on the Strait far more than ours. You know, we get less than 1% of our oil from the Strait, and some countries get much more. Japan gets 95%. China gets 90%. Many of the Europeans get quite a bit. South Korea gets 35%. So we want them to come and help us with the Strait. We have it in very good shape. The countries, I said, we've already taken care of Iran, but now, because of the fact that literally a single terrorist can put something in the water or shoot something or shoot a missile, a small missile, and it's fairly close range because it is a tight area, and which is one of the reasons they've always used that as a weapon. Iran has always used that as an economic weapon, and it's not going to be able to be used very long. Numerous countries have told me they're on the way. Some are very enthusiastic about it, and some aren't. Some are countries that we've helped for many, many years. We've protected them from horrible outside sources, and they weren't that enthusiastic. And the level of enthusiasm matters to me. We have some countries where we have 45,000 soldiers, great soldiers, protecting them from harm's way. And we have done a great job. And when we want to know, do you have any minesweepers? Well, would rather not get involved, sir.
Okay, that ticks me off. Does everybody not realize that this could fundamentally remake energy for the entire planet? Where now you don't have to worry about what goes on in the Middle East. You could fix that so it never happens again. You could end terrorism and not have to worry about the Middle East and not have to worry about anything ever again if you take away their oil supply. And now you have free access and don't have to worry about some terrorist shutting down the strait anytime they feel like it. So short-sighted that countries aren't stepping up to do this. But are we surprised? Why do we have to go bail out Ukraine? Because Europe won't do it, and we're the ones who protect freedom. Why do we have to go do everything? You really need the other countries to step up at this point because less of our oil comes from there. We just get a bigger drain on our oil when everybody can't get it out of the strait, which is why the gas prices are going up. Markets are connected when you have global markets. So it's crazy to me they won't actually step up. But what's crazier is how it seems like the lamestream media is rooting against the war. You know how many people have asked me, hey, Ari, is Bibi Netanyahu dead? Is he dead? Are you sure he's still alive? Are you kidding me with this nonsense? They have to come up with these deep fakes. They have to come up with these rumors because we're not even sure if the new supreme leader is alive. This is from the New York Post, and this cracked me up. Zach's going to like this story. President Trump was stunned to learn last week that U.S. intelligence indicates new Iranian Supreme Leader Khomeini, Mojtaba Khomeini, might be gay, and that his father, the late Ayatollah Ali Khomeini, feared his suitability to rule the Islamic Republic for that reason. Wait a second. So the left is on the side of the murderous dictator who oppressed women and didn't like his gay son?
Maybe they weren't gay enough.
You know, like the maps.
Like the maps. If only we had gay maps, then we could do it. Others in the room also found it hilarious. Apparently, Trump couldn't contain his surprise and laughed out loud when he was briefed on the intel. The others who found it hilarious joined the president's reaction, while one senior intelligence official has not stopped laughing about it for days.
Thank goodness they were briefed, not boxers.
Oh, no, said one person familiar with the briefing. Yeah, you're so close there, Zach, so close. This is why the Ayatollah didn't want this guy in charge of the country. The shocking claim was described to the Post by two intelligence community officials.
So we don't even have to take him out. They'll take care of the problem.
They'll take care of it.
It's
It's done. Problem solved. Problem solved. All three sources say the implausible sounding allegation is viewed as credible by U.S. spy agencies. What were you guys spying on? Exactly. His briefs? What were you checking out there? Rather than false information intended to undermine Khomeini, who was selected to replace his dead father as supreme leader. So they replaced a dead guy with a dead guy? This would be like if Hunter Biden took over for his dad. Two of the sources said the intelligence indicated that he earned the nickname the power behind the robes while serving his aging dad's gatekeeper and had long-term sexual relationship with his childhood tutor. Wow, they got everything going on in that country. And yet, whose side is the media on? Whose side are the Democrats on?
Third in the regime is going to be Matt Gaetz.
Oh, no! Bad, Zach. Funny, though, but bad. We're not even sure this guy is alive, and they're claiming Bibi Netanyahu's dead. They're claiming we're losing the war. You know what's upsetting to me on social media? You can see which podcasts are running at any time, so I see which ones are running the same time I do when I'm checking stuff on Twitter. And I see these things. Is the U.S. losing the war? It's all clickbait. It's all nonsense, trying to make you think that we actually are. You think Iran is holding up against us? They're not. Now, here are the problems we're actually having with the war. Number one, there's no uprising in country. Is it because they killed all the people who were rebelling before we got there? Possibly. They killed somewhere between 30 and 40,000 people. That's a big issue. Iran has to take care of itself. That's a huge issue. Two, there's more missiles than we expected. And because there's more missiles than we expected, this is taking a little bit longer. But we are clearly winning this thing. We got F-35s. They are flying Phantoms from the pre-Vietnam era. They're flying Phantoms from back then, museum pieces that they could barely keep in the air. The magic carpet joke isn't that far off. That's basically what's happening. Of course, we're winning this war. You want to have a debate about what happens afterwards? You want to have a debate about gas prices? You want to have a debate about any of that? Fine, I'm with you. We can have that discussion all day long. But to say we're losing this war? To say that we're losing this war? Whose side are you really on? Nauseating. Absolutely nauseating. It seems like the Democrats don't even care about America at all anymore. In fact, speaking of people who don't care about America anymore, Zoran Mamdani, did he ever care about America? Him and Katie Wilson are finding out there's a lot more to governing than just slogans. I'll tell you what's going on when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. When you hear music that doesn't sound like 80s arena rock, that means it's time to win fantabulous prizes, my friends. So today, we are giving away two tickets to see Aaron Lewis and the State Liners, by popular request of the KVI audience, by the way, at the Muckleshoot Event Center on March 24th. That's next week. All you have to do in order to win these fantabulous prizes is text the word I give you to the number I give you. So today's word is outside. As in, outside, it's looking really, really nice right now. Sun's coming up, breaking through the clouds. So text the word outside, OUTSIDE, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Good luck, my friends. And don't forget to keep listening to the Ari Hoffman Show all week for more chances to win fantabulous prizes. Or you're on the outside looking in. You can see my true colors. Text the word outside to 206-421-5757 for your chance to win. I saw this clip from Zoran Mamdani today, and I just started laughing. Give a listen. Wonderful idea. Who's going to enforce it? Who's going to enforce it? Let's see. All the cops are leaving because of you. So you got that problem. They don't want to work for you. They're transferring out to other departments. And are you guys going to use the flock camera system to enforce it? Because from what I hear, the left wants to shut those down everywhere because of ICE. Who's going to enforce it? Second thing, I sometimes wonder if Zoran Mamdani ever actually lived in New York or just lived in Uganda. And let me tell you why. You cannot go fast past the school in New York City because they are all on these tiny little streets. It is impossible to speed past them.
Maybe he was driving youth groups to corn mazes.
That'll do it. That'll definitely do it.
That's what they call a callback.
Ah, I see. I see what you're doing there. But you can't actually physically do it. They're on these, especially at dismissal time. Here's another problem. Every time they lower the speed limit, the deaths have actually been going up. This has been happening in Seattle too. Do you know why? When you slow down traffic, more people are willing to break the speed limit to get around the log jams and then cut through residential streets they shouldn't normally be cutting through in order to do it. And guess what happens? A kid chasing a ball runs in front of a car. You put all these things together, it's not actually helping anything. You know what helps keeps people off the road who shouldn't be driving? How about you don't issue licenses to illegal aliens? Whether they're commercial driver's licenses or regular driver's licenses, especially illegal aliens who can't speak the language and don't see the sign that says school zone ahead. How about you actually keep people who are prolific offenders off the roads, including people who have DUI crimes, which we're seeing a lot of these illegal aliens do have the DUI things, but nobody actually kept them off the streets. How about actually enforcing the law with police officers? Crazy ideas. I know. These are all absolutely insane, but maybe it will help. Just a smidgen? Just a little bit? Well, that's not Zoran Mamdani's only crazy idea. Katie Wilson proposed last week that she wants to spend all this money on affordable housing. 1,000 new affordable houses. You know, it's funny. The mainstream media is getting pretty mad at Katie Wilson. Apparently, anytime there's an event where she's announcing something, she zips afterwards. It's not just to get away from Jonathan Cho. It's to get away from everybody in the media. She's just out of there with the quickness, as you might say. Just gone completely.
I was at an event 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
I won't name the organization, but it was a gathering of journalists. One moment.
A gathering of journalists.
Gathering of journalists. Yeah. And they were all complaining about the accessibility to City Hall under the Katie Wilson administration. And this is not I've now started my own little black book of right-wing conservative media. And they were certainly not in it. Yeah. I mean, they might have been part of the 107 of the Seattle Times, I'm not sure. But they were all complaining about it's so difficult to get a hold of anybody at City Hall, especially the mayor.
Maybe now they have a little taste of what it was like when I asked for comment for 4 years out of Bruce Harrell's office. 4 years. Never heard back once. For the over a year from Bob Ferguson's office, have never heard back once. Not once. Now you're getting a little taste of it. Now you don't like it so much.
I know. I got to the event. I texted my wife. I go, God, a bunch of commies. And then we all started chatting. I thought, hey, I think we've got some stuff in common. And then I started to share a little bit, and they're like, maybe not that much, but still.
Yeah. You know that Ari Hoffman guy, they took away his press pass. Maybe you should talk to him about this.
But it proves your point. They don't want to talk to anybody who's even remotely associated with journalism or anybody who's going to ask any sort of question, even if they're favorable to the policies of the mayor.
Because what I've noticed is, for some reason, the Seattle media is more than happy to beat up on Katie Wilson when they can. They will. But she doesn't want to take that chance. Her team doesn't want to take that chance. The most recent event I heard this happened at, and I have not confirmed this yet, I need to ask a few people who were there, but what I heard was at the most recent Downtown Seattle Association event where she was invited to speak, which I would never have done that. She's one of the people who's anti-business. What, you think you're gonna turn her around? You think you're gonna reform her in that room? Years of being a communist with college professor commie parents. You think one night with the business people, well, we gave her lobster. Oh, we gave her prime steak. We gave her prime rib. Prime rib that's reheated from a caterer. We gave it to her, and we tried to change her mind, but it just didn't work out. No, she doesn't want to answer the questions because she can't. I don't think it's that she doesn't want to answer the questions. I think it's she's not able to answer the questions. Have you seen her ever try to answer a question? It's embarrassing. The rambling, incoherent nonsense. They're trying to make it look like she has her act together. She doesn't. Well, Zoran Mamdani sees that she says, oh, you know what? We're going to do 1,000 new housing units. With everybody leaving town? Sure, good luck with that. Zoran Mamdani is going to pay New York City hotels $1.9 billion to house the homeless for just 3 years. Sounds to me like you're going to have a lot of burned down hotels. So the last administration stopped the practice of giving the hotels to the illegal aliens. The last time I was in Times Square, wow, never seen anything like it, the amount of illegal aliens that were there. This is 2-3 years ago now, I think, at this point. It was everywhere. One of my favorite restaurants is in Times Square. I make sure to go there anytime I can. When I'm in New York.
Applebee's?
Not Applebee's. No.
I happen to have it on good authority. I know it's the world's largest Applebee's.
Is it the world's largest
I find myself
Applebee's?
to be a bit of a connoisseur.
I would love to go to an Applebee's, but I can't because of the kosher. Somebody here on the...
You're really not missing much.
That's what I hear. There is
and I don't go for the food.
I see. You go for the atmosphere. At the Applebee's.
Beverages.
Yes.
You can have the beverages.
I got you. I can have the beverages. I didn't know there were beverages in Applebee's.
That is the whole point of the Applebee's.
Well, then their marketing sucks. Otherwise, I'd go there for the beverages. I am known to
the
enjoy.
Dollarita, the Mucho Bowl, all these. You've never heard of
None of these. See?
Turn on a television once in a while.
Why would I do that?
To learn about the drink specials at Applebee's, obviously.
Clearly. No, my favorite steakhouse is right there in the middle of Times Square. I go there for that. They got good drinks,
Outback.
Too. Not Outback. Not the Outback. Anyway, so $1.9 billion, you people have lost your minds. Absolutely lost your minds. Like the Democrats here in Washington, because when we come back, my friends, this Capitol flight that's happening, it's worse than anybody knows. And we've got some new examples of it that happened just this week. Tell you all about it up next. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. If only there was a state nearby, perhaps somewhere on the West Coast, that was run by progressives that we could look at it and say, gee, do any of these progressive policies actually work? Oh, wait, there is one. It's called California and Oregon, by the way. You want to know if wealth flight, capital flight was a real thing? Well, my friends, I'm just going to read this here from the New York Post. Uber co-founder Travis Kalanick said he has traded California for Texas, joining a growing list of billionaires abandoning the state as lefty lawmakers push for a one-off tax on their wealth. Appearing on TPBN to discuss the robotic startup Atoms, Kalanick told hosts John Coogan and Jordy Hayes he relocated to Austin at the end of 2025. Quote, just to be clear, on December 18th, I moved to Texas. I don't know what's so specific about December 18th, but let's just say it's prior to January. California lawmakers and activists are pushing a proposed 2026 Billionaire Tax Act, which could appear in the state's November 2026 ballot. The measure would impose a one-time 5% tax on fortunes exceeding $1 billion. It would apply to people who were California residents as of January 1st, 2026. That means the 49-year-old's estimated $3.6 billion fortune will not be subjected to the tax should it be introduced. I saw the saddest post the other day, and I don't blame them for doing this. I really don't. It was one of the tech people talking about when you need to leave Washington by so you won't be affected by the taxes. It was basically saying, if you're not already working on it, you're in trouble. And the reason for that is because they said, look, it takes time to sell your house. It takes time to do all these things, capital gains, et cetera. You don't know how much worse it's going to get. And when these things go into play, we know a lot of them are going into a play. Like, for example, the millionaire tax isn't going to, the income tax isn't going to affect for a few years. But what's going to come next? Which is why people are looking now. Plus, you want to get full value out of your house before you leave.
So you're telling me rich people are going to be having yard sales and need to move product quick?
Oh, wait a second. Zach's looking at a money-making opportunity.
I might be a Democrat. I kind of like these taxes.
Or you just profit off it.
Well,
right? There you go.
Dang
exactly.
it, I'm a capitalist after all.
I wonder what kind of Hollywood memorabilia you'll find when they decide, I really don't need that rhinoceros from Ace Ventura 2 Pet Detective, where Ace Ventura comes right out of the you-know-what. You know, I think we can get that somewhere else, right? Sure? Yes? No? Maybe?
Yeah, send your movie props to Zach at Katie.
Yeah, by the way, no joke. Shameless plug. If you want to sell a movie prop, you talk to Zach. Zach is the master of these things. He loves it. If you got Mets memorabilia,
I bought
talk to me.
envelope from the Grinch mailroom scene just last night.
You did?
Yeah.
Just an envelope. How many envelopes are out there for sale from the Grinch mailroom?
Several.
I was going to say, there's a few of them.
Well, but how many Drew Lou Who costumes are out there?
That's true. Very true.
I wanted something.
We go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from our friend Transit Joe. Transit Joe, what's up, man?
What's up is I can't believe it was even controversial to have a memorial to the fallen on the war on terror. As somebody who wanted to join the military to be part of that effort to give Iraq democracy, try to free Afghanistan, and fully supports freeing Iran and fighting anti-Semitism, I'm really disappointed in Senator Trudeau for being opposed to it.
Let's go back, Joe, just so I could fill everybody in, because for those of you who weren't listening on Friday and didn't see the article I put up and didn't see the interview I put up on social media. So here's what's happening. There was supposed to be a memorial for the war, or those who lost their lives in the war on terror on the Washington Capitol campus. And it was a small little nothing. It had bipartisan support, cost very little money. It was basically, here we're going to be the cost to you, the taxpayer. Surveying, because you got to do this before the land, and here's the land. The money for it was going to be raised privately. But Senator Yasmin Trudeau said something like it was the most disgusting thing she's ever seen. Now, let's not forget that she supports every Hamas rally there is, and she supports every anti-Israel thing there is, so we know where her feelings are. But she shut this thing down, according to sources of mine. Regardless, younger Democrats shut this thing down, and now it's not moving forward. So no memorial to those who died. So the airman who just passed away, who was just killed in action, no memorial for her, because this is a war on terror that we're fighting right now, make no mistake about it. And people like Daria Farivar might be on the wrong side of the Iranian regime. Joe, you there?
Yeah, and I'm here, and I'm very upset. I'm like, it's just deplorable to, not take a moment and respect the people who put their lives on the line to protect everybody, whether it's troops or firefighters or police or paramedics. I mean, we thankfully have a law enforcement memorial. We had that before we had Senator Trudeau. I mean, can we please, for God's sakes, just take a moment and remember that freedom is not free. And yeah, Ari, you and I may disagree on some things, but I'm sure we can agree that, somebody has to pay for our freedoms. And
yeah, well, that 100%, Joe. This is why I love taking your calls. Because, yeah, we disagree from time to time, and yeah, we may argue over who's a journalist and who's not in the Seattle Times and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, on the big items like our first responders, like our police officers, like our firefighters, like our U.S. service members, there's no disagreement whatsoever. There's no disagreement ever.
Exactly.
And that seems to have been lost a long time ago on the other side of the aisle, where it used to be, okay, we all agree on national defense and we all agree on the military and police. And somewhere along the way, the other side just lost track of all of that. Joe, totally appreciate where you're calling, why you're calling, and what you're calling for. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Jeff in Kent says, hey, at least Saldana isn't running for Senate again. Rebecca Saldana, my friend, is running for King County Council. You're not rid of her. If she wins, that means she's sitting next to Teresa Mosqueda and working with Gurmay Zahalai on making our lives a living hell in King County. For those of you who are not in King County, you may think, aha, no problem. Zach's smiling.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. You don't realize, like, the way King County goes, that's the way the rest of the state goes. Only good news to wrap up the show,
with
my
Sheriff
friends.
Swank at the helm.
That's what you want. That's what you want right there, speaking of good news. Only good news, your good news headlines, and put a smile on your face heading into your evening commute. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. It is time to feel good as we wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. And this story here kind of cracks me up for a personal reason. So a few years ago, I was talking with our crew here at KVI, and I said, I went to the coolest place for a concert the other night. I don't remember what it's called, but it's got like a winery and this big stage. And I think it was Kevin goes, you mean Chateau Ste. Michelle? I'm like, yes, that's it. He goes, it's only been around here for like decades and stuff. It's a really fun place to see a concert. I'm like, yeah, it was great. So there was a Pink Floyd cover band that was performing. And now they were they were great. They were actually I don't even like Pink Floyd.
All the Pink Floyd, none of the anti-Semitism.
Exactly. No Roger Waters. No Nazi symbols anywhere. It was great. It was really a lot of fun. And what was funny was we went with a bunch of our Jewish friends from synagogue and such. And I'll tell you why you marry a Jewish girl. Because they bring everything when you go to something like this. So Chateau Ste. Michelle, it's got the stage and it's got all the wine and stuff, but we can't have the wine because it's not kosher. And we can't have the food because it's not kosher. They brought a spread. Like, people were stopping and remarking on the spread and how, because you get like 10 Jewish women, because there was a whole bunch of us, to put on a spread, and everybody goes, I'm bringing this, I'm bringing that. It was a smorgasbord. You could have a wedding right there at Chateau Ste. Michelle with the amount of food they brought. It was incredible. And the amount of wine and everything else got a special exemption.
That's why I didn't remember what it was called.
That's exactly probably why. I probably should have driven home anyway. Either way, totally kidding. Totally kidding. Would never do that. Anyway, so Chateau Ste. Michelle has released their schedule for this year. And Zach, I specifically picked this story because I knew I had you with me today. Because I don't know who any of these people are. All right, I'm going to run it down with you. I'm just going to yellow card with very special guest Newfound Glory and the plain white tees.
Oh, my goodness.
See, I knew like you'd know who this was, and I have no clue who they are.
I've met every one of those bands. I've seen every one of those bands. Big fan.
Okay, so that's on May 24th, but it's sold out, Zach. All right, Metric, Broken, Social Scene, and Stars.
Nothing.
Okay, Rihanna. Oh, that's not Rihanna. That's Rhiannon Giddens.
Next.
Okay. Dirks Bentley with very...
It's Dirks Bentley. You work in a building with a country station.
Yeah, I don't know these things. Ziggy Marley with special guest Jay Boog. Kaleo, very special guest L. King. Is that the X's and the O's?
Well, you know who L. King is.
The X's and the O's?
Yeah, but do you know who she is?
Who is she?
Rob Schneider's daughter.
What?
Yes.
Shut your face.
Yes, sir.
She is?
Yes, she is.
Okay, this is totally like grown-ups happening here, where you're like, that is from... No, what? I didn't know that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Might have to go to that one. The Fray. I know them because of Scrubs. Winona Judd and Melissa Etheridge. That's a big pass. Oh, here we go. 90s. Full on 90s. Speaking of Melissa Etheridge. Ready? Boys to Men.
Mama.
There you go. Fitz and the Tantrums.
They can make your hands clap.
Indeed. Do they have more than one song?
Nope.
Okay, just making sure. The Australian Pink Floyd Show. Those are the guys I mentioned. They're awesome. They're actually really, really good. They're pretty good. All right. Lindsey Sterling with very special guest. There's no vowels in this word.
It's Paris. Lindsey Sterling is the Mormon violin player.
Okay. All right. Dark Star Orchestra.
No clue.
All right. Do they do Star Wars music?
I don't.
I would go to that. Sarah McLachlan with very special guest Allison Ruffalo.
Boom. Roasted.
Oh, sorry, that was the wrong one. I was trying to get a how about no.
Yeah, that's a big how about no. Okay. Or,
How about no?
There you go. Wait. We can do this for a few more of these. Hermano Gutierrez. Nah. Tori Amos with very, very special guest Barty Strange.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Gypsy Kings featuring...
I was told you can't say it.
Yeah, okay. Well, whatever.
Romanian Kings.
Sorry. You got me with that one. Anyway, the entire calendar for any of these shows you might want to attend, because I know some of you are sitting there going, okay, Ari, that's a good band. You don't know what you're talking about, is on
There's a Sarah McLachlan fan getting in the car right now.
Somebody's getting really mad at me, saying I'm taking this off my presets because Ari Hoffman
They're headed to an animal shelter right now to cause a ruckus.
In the arms of the angels. I see that sad dog right in front of me right
Just
now.
1995.
You could save a dog. This one here from Fox News. San Francisco 49ers defensive end Bryce Huff announced Thursday he's retiring from the league after 6 seasons. The 49ers acquired Huff in a trade from the Philadelphia Eagles last season. He was a key part of San Francisco's defense in 2025, finishing tied for first in sacks with 4. However, he failed to record a sack in his final 10 games of the regular season and the playoffs. He said, I'm retiring from football. I started playing football when I was 4 years old. Growing up, I wasn't the biggest or the strongest. I didn't have any friends. All I really had was the game. Football kept me grounded. Huff joined New York Jets in 2020 as an undrafted free agent out of Memphis. He played 4 seasons with the team, recording 65 tackles and 17.5 sacks. What's half a sack? Well, whatever. That's a whole nother conversation. We'll have a different time. He signed with the Eagles in 2024, playing 12 games for them and being part of the Super Bowl winning team. Now, after that, he said, I really evaluated what mattered in my life. That led me to San Francisco, where I was able to reset a system I understood with a group of guys I respected. He said, we battled through injuries, fought our way to the playoffs, and gave everything we had. Through all of it, I realized something. Football has been my entire life. I played since I was 4 years old. But at 27 years old, I know I'm capable of giving the world more than football. The game taught me perseverance, taught me discipline, taught me how to lead and how to find a way for it when things feel impossible. He said he is focusing on his lithium battery company, and the goal is to suppress their fire risk. How many people you know that leave sports and say, I want to go fix this problem so you don't have to be asked on airplanes anymore, do you have any lithium-ion batteries in there? Or so you can actually solve this thing so that you can get more energy efficient? Good on you, man. I mean, if you're investing the money you made in the NFL too, good on you for following your dreams for something like that. How many people just sit back and cruise and do other things as former sports stars? No, that's really like a big kudos to him for deciding to go off and do something like that. That's really just nice because unfortunately we hear usually the other side of fame when somebody's done with the sports and that kind of stuff. So kudos to him on that. Anyway, that's going to about wrap it up for us today, my friends. Don't forget to subscribe to my social media channels, Ari Hoffman Official on Facebook and Instagram, The Hofffather over on X. Make sure you subscribe to all our podcasts as well, and make sure you download the KVI app. We will be back tomorrow with more insane stories, more exciting guests, and, of course, more giveaways. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.